Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the A segment of episode 32 of The Loud House, Patching Things Up. We begin this segment in the twins' room where both Lana and Lola are packing up their backpacks because this is the day where they'll have the chance to join the Bluebell Scouts, and they're hopeful that they'll both gain entry into the Bluebell Scouts so they can be members together. They even give one another a lucky item of theirs as a show of good luck to both of them that they'll both succeed in this goal. They also find out that Lincoln and Clyde are anxious to arrive to make it to Camp Bluebell. And this is because the boys are very hopeful that they'll be able to find some Bluebell Scout Cookies while they're there. So now we finally arrive at Camp Bluebell, and the scout leader, voiced by April Stewart, greets the potential new members for the Bluebell Scouts. Lana and Lola, of course, and some background characters. They don't talk during the segment. The scout leader explains that in order to wear the periwinkle sash, which essentially means become a member of the Bluebell Scouts, they have to complete at least 5 activities and gain 5 patches as proof of completing these activities. There'll be more than 5 though, but yeah, you need the bare minimum of 5 in order to become a Bluebell Scout member. So that's the A plot of the segment, Lana and Lola completing these various activities for the patches. The B plot of the segment is Lincoln and Clyde have snuck into Camp Bluebell, and they're searching the campgrounds to find the cookies. And they're doing this while Lana and Lola are doing their activities. In the end, when the second to last activity is going on, that's when Lincoln and Clyde are exposed and they get kicked out of the camp. Now, as for the activities themselves, the first 4 activities are activities that are right up Lana's alley, so Lana ends up gaining 4 patches right off the bat, while Lola doesn't acquire any patches from these particular activities. The next 4 activities, however, are right up Lola's alley, so Lola is the one who gains the next 4 patches, while Lana doesn't get any of this set of 4 patches. So by the end of it, they each have 4 patches, and they both only need 1 more in order to gain entry into the Bluebell Scouts. But for the final activity, it's a mystery. The scout leader gives each of the potential members an envelope, which inside contains the activity that they'll need to do in order to gain their patch. At this point, though, Lana and Lola are starting to argue and feud with each other, blaming the other for them not being able to be Bluebell Scouts together because, as it was mentioned, 4 of them were more to Lana's liking. The other 4 activities were more to Lola's liking. So they're worried that the other will mess it up, so they won't be able to both be in the Bluebell Scouts. And when the potential members all scatter so they can look at their envelopes to see what the activity is and make their necessary preparations, we each get to see that Lana and Lola's activity are actually right up their respective alleys. Lana's activity is one she's good at. Lola's activity is one she's good at. At first, they both think that it doesn't matter if the other twin doesn't make it, but then they both come across the item that they received from the twin that gave it to them as a show of good luck, and they realize they can't stand the possibility of not being in the Bluebell. They can't stand the prospect or the idea of being in the Bluebell Scouts without the other. So they purposefully fail their respective activities, even though they could have easily accomplished their task. And when the scout leader sees both of them to explain how they both failed and the activity that they failed at, both of the twins are surprised that the other failed at something they were good at. And when they found out that they purposefully failed because they couldn't stand being in the scouts without one another, they share a heartfelt moment that shows how much they care for each other as sisters. And the scout leader is actually impressed by this. She actually gives them both the same patch, the Faithful Friendship patch, and says they pass. They both get to be in the Bluebell Scouts together. And the scout leader apparently has a sister of her own, because she says seeing Lana and Lola's care for one another as sisters makes her want to give her own sister a call. So Lana and Lola leave Camp Bluebell, now with their periwinkle sashes, and they have boxes of what seems to be the Bluebell Scout Cookies. So Lincoln and Clyde give them all the money they have on hand so they can take the boxes, but it's not cookies. It's some other food, something for some health initiative food or something along those lines. And the twins say that there's no refunds, so the segment ends with Lincoln and Clyde stuck with this food that isn't cookies. Now, as you can probably imagine, this segment was this gave the spotlight to both the twins, Lana and Lola, and they were actually more the viewpoint characters too, because Lincoln didn't have much of a prevalent role in this segment compared to the twins. Now, Toads and Tiaras was a segment that also, you could say, focused on both the twins, although some would make the argument that Lana was more so prevalent than Lola in Toads and Tiaras, since it was about Lana impersonating Lola. This one felt like it was more equal. It was about both the twins in a more equal prevalence, and that's what I felt too. We got to see Lana's strengths and weaknesses, Lola's strengths and weaknesses. And we did get to see the conflict. They actually were worried about them not becoming Bluebell Scouts together, but in the end they realized that they really wouldn't be able to. They would have missed the other if the other didn't make it in. And the fact that they purposefully failed so they could still be together was pretty touching. And the fact that they both did end up getting to join the Bluebell Scouts because of the sister bond they have with each other, I thought that was a heartwarming moment. So I thought that was a nice touch. And Lincoln and Clyde's subplot, or the B plot, I know that confused a lot of people because they thought, what was the point of having that plot in there? They could have easily just had the whole segment be about the twins doing these various activities for the patches. So what was the point of having Lincoln and Clyde in there? And now nothing official has been outright said, but if I had to take a guess, I do believe that now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Nickelodeon shows in general, Nickelodeon doesn't really like to have episodes without their main character appearing at all. So this might have been because they had to have Lincoln in the segment because he's the main character, so he has to appear even if he's not in the major role of the segment. It's kind of like with Hey Arnold, because I remember, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure Arnold appeared in every segment and every episode of Hey Arnold, even though he wasn't necessarily the focus of every episode or every segment. I know that was the case for Legend of Korra. Korra managed to appear in every episode, even though not all the episodes focused on Korra. And its predecessor, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang was actually only absent for one episode. He otherwise appeared in the rest of the series. Now, while I think that may have been the reason, because Lincoln has to appear because he's the main character, it seems like that Nickelodeon isn't as... if that was the case, I'm pretty sure it seems they're not worried about that anymore, because it has been mentioned in recent interviews that apparently season 3 is going to have a few segments or episodes where Lincoln is absent or he makes no appearance. So they might have, if that is the case, if it's true that Lincoln appeared because he had to, it seems that's no longer the case once we go into season 3. So it'll be interesting to see which segments or episodes end up being the ones without Lincoln. Because for now, Lincoln's the only character with a perfect attendance record. We'll have to see which one is the one where that perfect attendance record is broken. So while I can understand why some people might have felt that Lincoln's subplot with Clyde was unnecessary, I myself didn't really have much grievances with it, because I could understand that having a segment without the main character. I wasn't expecting that, because the segment originally aired before the interview revealing Lincoln's potential absence in a few segments of season 3 happened. So I was actually, I would have been more surprised if Lincoln didn't appear in some capacity. And as far as that subplot with them wanting to find the Bluebell Scout Cookies goes, it actually reminded me of a friend of mine actually was in the Girl Scouts back when we were kids, and so we ended up having a lot of Girl Scout cookies around, and I have to admit, the Girl Scout cookies tasted great. So I can understand why Lincoln and Clyde wanted to find the Bluebell Scout cookies. That was kind of a nice little trip down memory lane for me. But otherwise, I enjoyed this segment. I thought it was a nice focus for both the twins and gave them equal prevalence. And like I said, Lincoln and Clyde's subplot with the cookies reminded me of some memories of when I was a kid. So overall, I did enjoy this segment. As to be expected, we'll be discussing the B segment next. Take care, and until next time.